Imagine Sun Tzu ascending to godhood with strategic powers that dwarf mortal comprehension, that gives you
Jiang Ziya,
in-game science's upcoming Black Myth.
Jiang Ziya.
He'll serve as the instrumental figure behind the origin stories of Erlang Shen and the Four Heavenly Kings. With game science having secured trademarks for 6 upcoming Black Myth titles, including
Jiang Ziya,
it's time global gamers understood who this figure really is. Because while Western audiences might recognize names like Confucius, Lao Tzu, Jiang Ziya predates them all of even them by 5 centuries, making him ancient even to China's most celebrated ancient sages. This places him at the very dawn of recorded Chinese history, making him arguably the first Chinese archetype of a wise wizard like sage in Chinese civilization. The historical Jiang Ziya served the Shang dynasty for 2 decades as an unparalleled military strategist and governmental advisor. His tactical brilliance bordered on the supernatural, anticipating enemy movements with uncanny precision. However, when the final Shang king fell under the corrupting influence of his concubine Daji, in traditional Chinese mythology said to be in reality possessed by a fox spirit in disguise, paranoia consumed the hijacked court. The king began executing his most capable ministers, viewing their competence as threats rather than assets. Recognizing the futility of serving a ruler descended into hopeless tyranny, Jiang Ziya feigned insanity to escape the increasingly oppressive court. His departure marked a turning point. The persecutions intensified, and other brilliant ministers soon met their deaths. Among the survivors was
Ji Cheng,
a loyal general who controlled substantial vassal territories in the west. Daji manipulated the paranoid king into viewing Ji Cheng's large holdings as evidence of treasonous threat. The king imprisoned Ji Cheng, executed his eldest son when he pleaded for his father's release, and according to some accounts, forced the broken father to unknowingly consume meat cakes made from his beloved child. After paying massive ransom tributes to secure his release, the devastated Ji Cheng retreated to his remaining territories, seeking allies for what he knew would be an inevitable confrontation. In one of the most pivotal encounters in Chinese history, he discovered an elderly fisherman casting his line with a straight hook, a physical impossibility for catching fish. This was
Jiang Ziya,
then 72 years old, deliberately announcing his presence through this paradox. When Ji Cheng inquired about the unconventional fishing method, Jiang Ziya replied that he was waiting for exactly the right person, and that person had just arrived. Soon their avid conversation ranged across statecraft, military strategy, and governance philosophy. Ji Cheng immediately recognized the old fisherman's supreme intellect and appointed him prime minister of his domain.
Jiang Ziya,
His daughter married Ji Cheng's heir, cementing their alliance through blood. Together, they began conquering neighboring states, but Ji Cheng died during one of these campaigns. Rather than fragmenting under the loss of their leader, the Zhou forces consolidated under Jiang Ziya's stewardship and Ji Cheng's capable sons. The heir proved himself a formidable warrior king, the future King Wu of Zhou, while a younger son, the future Duke Wen of Zhou, pioneered concept of the mandate of heaven, the central philosophical pillar that would govern Chinese political thought for the next 3 millennia.
Jiang Ziya,
Personally led troops in the climactic battle that toppled the Shang dynasty. Zhou records describe him as being like an eagle on the wing of the Grand Zhou army, and striking with devastating precision that shattered the Shang to smithereens. Even after establishing the new dynasty, he continued guiding the Zhou through multiple crises until they entered into a golden age, reportedly living to the extraordinary age of 113, and by then well have his own dynasty welded to that of the Zhou's kings. The Ming Dynasty epic Investiture of the Gods transformed Jiang Ziya from historical figure to mythological architect. Similar to how the Iliad frames the Trojan War as a conflict between gods with personal grudges. Investiture of the Gods reimagines the Shangguo War as a supernatural battleground where deities chose sides based on cosmic allegiances. It eventually became the definitive source for how Chinese culture remembers its pantheon's origin stories. This epic serves as the primary origin story for many beloved figures in Chinese mythology, including Erlang Shen, Nezha, and the four heavenly kings. In this mythologized version, Jiang Ziya commands not just mortal armies, but divine forces, orchestrating the ascension of heroes to godhood itself. Erlang Shen's origin story within this framework reveals him as Yang Dian, a mortal warrior fighting under Jiang Ziya's command. During this period, the future god was still mastering his 72 transformations and grappling with the weight of his developing powers. The four heavenly kings began as the Mo family brothers, four demon generals defending Jiaming Pass for the Shang. They wielded magical weapons, an enchanted sword, a great umbrella, a jade pipa, and a supernatural fox mark. Young Erlang Shen defeated them decisively in battle, and they later died fighting other Zhou heroes. However, the four dead brothers' unwavering loyalty to the doomed Shang dynasty, even unto death, earned them posthumous elevation to divine status. They were reborn as the four heavenly kings, guardians of the cardinal directions, with power over weather and natural phenomena. Game science will likely draw from both historical accounts and the mythological framework of investiture of the gods, potentially exploring Jiang Ziya as a figure who defies corrupt celestial authority. The 2020 animated film Jiang Ziya already explored this theme, presenting him as a sage who becomes disillusioned with a morally bankrupt heavenly court. Given Black Myth, Wukong's nuanced portrayal of Erlang Shen as a complex figure who secretly aids the protagonist while maintaining appearances, we can expect similar depth in Jiang Ziya's characterization. The game will probably feature extensive flashbacks to the climactic Shangguo conflicts, showing how
Jiang Ziya
shaped not just military victories, but the very fabric of divine hierarchy. Players will likely witness the transformation of Yang Dian into Erlang Shen under Jiang Ziya's tutelage, exploring the mentor-student dynamic that forged one of Chinese mythology's most compelling figures. The relationship between
Jiang Ziya
and the Mo family brothers before their elevation to the four heavenly kings promises equally rich storytelling opportunities. When gods need a teacher, they turn to
Jiang Ziya.
And when the celestial strategist goes rogue, the heavens will quake with all of its might. For those hungry for deeper historical context, Dragon's Armory offers an excellent detailed examination of the Shangguo War and the birth of the Mandate of Heaven, essential reading for understanding the foundations upon which Jiang Ziya's legend stands. Stay tuned. If you like my channel, please feel free to check out Dragon's Armory blog, which more extensively covers Chinese history. And if you like what we do here, please consider supporting us on Patreon.